Hey everyone, and welcome to Upcycled Adulting, my YouTube page where I help you upcycle your real life into your best life by creating healthy habits, overcoming obstacles, and growing to accomplish your goals. And today we're going to be talking about how to create low stress relationships. Yes, this is a real thing. Yes, you can have them. And you can even take already existing stressful or dysfunctional relationships in your life and reduce the stress level in them by following these 9 tips. Now, I know you might be thinking that's really hard to believe and that seems like way too big of a promise, but I have used this for many years. And to give you a little background about me, I am the oldest of 5 children to teen parents in the early 70s. I was parentified young. I have extremely complicated relationships in my family dynamic. There's always someone not speaking to someone and somebody who's arguing with someone, and there's a lot of volatility there. And I have used these 9 tips to actually reduce the stress in my relationships, including with the people in my life who are diagnosed with all kinds of personality disorders and things like that. Now, yes, it is always an option to go no contact. It's really about what creates the least amount of stress for you. And sometimes the least stress is actually staying in the relationships and following these kinds of tips and being able to stay at family functions and various things like that and still engage there rather than going no contact. Now, here's the deal. We're going to use this in our relationships that already exist, but more importantly, we're going to use these tips in new relationships or in our partnerships or in our own homes to reduce the stress level in those relationships. These tips are all about empowering you to make the less stressful choice, to be responsive rather than reactive, to be able to navigate some of the complications that can happen even in relatively healthy relationships. Because let's face it, we all bring our stuff in and sometimes things get complicated. But these 9 tips will help you manage you because we all know that the only person you can control in a relationship is yourself. Ready? So, number 1 is communicate. Now, this might be a difficult thing for some of you to do. I know this is a very difficult thing for me to do because I don't necessarily have the best track record with having people who will listen and hear me and who won't misunderstand me or misrepresent what I'm saying. But I want you to know that clear communication is really important. You could be communicating your boundaries. You may be communicating something that you like, something that you don't necessarily like, but it's really important that you communicate. And I want to make sure everyone here knows that one of the things that's really important is to identify what you feel you want or need. Now, that doesn't mean that has to be that way forever. It's fine to say, I think that this is what would help me in this situation. And then to later say, you know what, that isn't quite what I need here. That's not a bait and switch. You're not playing head games, but it's really important that we are open and communicative. Now, when you first meet people, you want to gradually wade into this. We don't want to fire hydrant people with everything about us and everything that we need and want in a relationship. Gradually go into this as you're trusting the person more and more. Now, there may be people already in your life who you don't have a lot of trust with, who maybe have shown themselves to not be super safe. You don't need to communicate all of the background stuff. No means no. I don't like that means I don't like that. I will leave if that happens is just I will leave if that happens. You don't have to offer explanations for all these things. You can simply communicate your boundary and follow through on it. And remember from my last video that boundaries are for you. They're not to give the other person an ultimatum or to change their behavior. It's just you saying, I'm not comfortable. I'm not going to stay in a situation I'm not comfortable with, or I will leave, or I won't pick up that phone call. It actually is for you to have the peace of mind that you know how to navigate some of that tough stuff. Number 2 is making your relationships a judgment-free zone. Now, when we make a relationship a judgment-free zone on our end, we actually set that stage or we kind of set the tone for the relationship. I do not judge my friends based on the condition of their homes or whether or not they have showered in the last 4 days or week or whatever. Honestly, I do not care. I don't judge my friends based on their parenting style. Of course, I'm not friends with people who are unsafe parents, right? Because I would not choose people who are unsafe parents to be friends with. I don't judge people based on their jobs, their income. I don't judge people based on these things. Because of that, my home is a judgment-free zone. And when people come to my home, I behave as if I expect my home to be a judgment-free zone. And what that means is I don't tidy when people are coming to my house. Now, I keep a relatively tidy house. I think I've mentioned before that I have some stuff in this area from my own childhood. So I do keep a relatively tidy house, but I don't go around and clean up. I don't make sure there's no shoes in the middle of the floor. I don't do any of that kind of stuff. I don't do it because I expect that when my friends come to visit me, they're coming to visit me, not to judge my house, not to check or inspect or bring their white gloves. And I do that because I want to set that tone in the relationship that when I go to their house, it can be a mess, and that's fine. And I'm not going to say a thing. I'm not going to be worried about it. And I think that that matters a lot because when our relationships are judgment-free zones, it means that we are not comparing ourselves to the other person. All judgment comes from a place of comparison. All judgment comes from a place of feeling shame in comparing yourself so that you can rank yourself amongst the other people. That's where judgment truly comes from. And I want my relationships to be as comparison free as possible. And I can keep them that way on my end so that when my friends or loved ones come to me and tell me wonderful things that have happened in their lives, I can wholeheartedly celebrate with them. And when they come to me and tell me their struggles, I can wholeheartedly empathize. There's no part of me that's ranking myself next to them. There's no part of me that's thinking, if you're winning, I'm losing. If you're losing, I'm winning, right? Because I want all of my friends to be celebrating too. I want to be celebrating. I want to be celebrating them. I want them to celebrate me. And I don't want the judgment that I don't want the comparison that comes with judgment, right? And that makes that not safe in our friendships. And so on my end, I can choose not to judge my friends. I can choose that I want my friends to not judge me. That's important to me in my relationships. And when I feel like that's not the dynamic, we're probably not going to get much closer, right? If I feel like you're judging me, I'm probably not going to call you and tell you when I'm struggling. If I feel like you're judging me, I'm also not going to call you and tell you when I'm victorious because I know that you are going to frame that inside your judgment bubble. And I'm not interested in my stuff being in your judgment bubble. So that is my choice. And I highly recommend that because it gets rid of a lot of the stress and the drama in the relationships if we can stay as much as possible judgment free. Number 3 is go to the source. Now, as a general rule, one of my boundaries is I don't care for gossip. I don't really like idle gossip. I don't like people talking about people, things like that. However, I have had in my family and in my friend group, people come to me and tell me that someone is saying something about me. So and so doesn't like you, or so and so said blank about you. So and so said blank about your family, your kids, your home, whatever it is. Okay. I do not take that at face value if the person being cited is someone I care about. Listen, I have to tell you this. I don't care what 90% of the people in around me think. I really don't. I mean, I know you casually. I know you enough to say hi at the grocery store, but I'm really not hung up on what you think about me. So, if you saw me out in public and I was wearing painting clothes because I had just been painting a room, and you tell somebody else in the neighborhood, oh my gosh, I'm so worried about her. Last time I saw her, she looked terrible, right? I'm not worried about that. Okay. I'm really not worried about that. But if it is somebody that I care about, okay, maybe they've misunderstood something that I said. Maybe they went to a mutual friend and said, gosh, I kind of feel like Cassie's upset with me, or she did this and it kind of hurt my feelings. Now, one, I'm not a fan of this behavior because I try to create a safe space so you can come directly to me. And I feel like this is some drama. So I do not go to other people. I might talk to my husband if I've got an issue going on with a friend, but I'm not going to our mutual friends and letting it get back to my friend and doing all of that stuff. I don't do that with my family either. But this does happen. And there are people in my family who are really divisive, and who will tell other people in the family things, even if those things never happened. All right. The rule that I have is go to the source. So if you hear something about me, I expect you to come to me. And if you are upset with me, or you feel like I did something that hurt your feelings, or you have had some kind of experience with me, I expect you to come to me, not go talk behind my back. Come to me. All right. I expect that we are going to go to the source. We're not going to get third parties involved and start a whole telephone game and have a whole thing. And if I hear something, I'll go directly to you. I think that it's so important because when we bring in other people, we get different interpretations and perspectives and ideas. And sometimes we even get people who are really high drama in these positions, and they say things kind of just to make waves, right? Or they say things because they're jealous or they're in judgment. This really is a thing. Yes, I am 51 years old. Yes, this still happens. Yes, this still happens in my friend groups and in my community and in my family. Yes, this still happens. Go directly to the source. Now watch. My all of my neighbors, like some of the people in my neighborhood, I know my phone's going to be ringing off the hook tomorrow, right? Because I know someone in my neighborhood has started telling some stories about me. I'm going to start getting some phone calls tomorrow asking me about these stories. So okay, it's all right. I'll answer your call if you live in my neighborhood. Go ahead, hit me up. I'm the source. I will answer your questions. Number 4 is be present. Okay. This is actually a big one. I have made a lot of mistakes in this area, so please learn from my mistakes. When someone comes to you and they're having a hard time, when someone comes to you and has news, okay, let's talk about the one I don't usually do, but it's a pet peeve, and then I'll tell you about the one I have consistently struggled with. When someone comes to you and they say, "This is my news," right? My partner got a promotion at work. My I'm expecting my first grandchild. Okay, you get the story here. I just got laid off. Okay, the first thing is be present. Do not, please do not, this is my pet peeve, please do not say, you must be feeling blank. Okay. Because even if we're reading from their tone that we think they feel excited, or we think they feel disappointed, or we think they feel angry, or we think they feel okay, give them space to be able to tell you how they're feeling. All right. So saying something like, how are you feeling about that, before you react? Okay. Unless, of course, you know your best friend's been trying to get pregnant for the last 6 months and now she's pregnant, right? Saying, yay, I'm so excited for you. You can say how you're feeling, but let them tell you how they're feeling instead of telling them how they must feel. When we tell someone how they must feel, we crowd out um, them being able to say how they really feel, right? We take that from them. So even if they really feel excited, you just said, you must be so excited. And now what they get to say in response, and it's their good news, is, oh, I am. Okay. We want to give them the chance to say, I am so excited, right? And if you say that right now out loud, you will feel the difference in your whole body. All right. If I say, you must be so excited, you say, I am. How does that feel? Now, if I say, how do you feel? And you say, I'm so excited. Doesn't that feel different? So let's not crowd out the other person's feelings. And by the way, people don't always feel the way we expect them to feel in the moment. Also, give them the space to be able to say, I'm so excited, but I'm scared, right? I'm so excited, but I'm worried. I'm disappointed about losing my job, but also I kind of felt like it was holding me back. So I'm a little excited about the new journey I'm on. Give people the space to be able to tell you their feelings and recognize feelings are complex. So when you name the feeling, they don't have the opportunity to tell you how they're feeling or to tell you the variety of things that might be going on for them. Right. And that's important stuff. The one that I have always struggled with, oh my gosh, and if you know me right now, you know exactly what I'm about to say. The one that I've always struggled with is I am a coach by nature. I've been a coach my whole life. I am the oldest sibling in my family. I have handled a lot of odds and ends things for various members of the family. Currently, I'm handling some medical care stuff with my aunt and my cousin for my grandma's end of life care. I tend to bring the advice, right? If something is going on and you tell me about it, like over the phone, and you ask to have lunch with me, I'm the person who will do all the research and bring a binder with tabs explaining all the things and go through all the options and also tell you what I think should happen. Like, I'll be like, and my best advice is to choose option A. Okay. I'm not always that obnoxious with it. All right. But I will never forget when my sister said to me that she was struggling with potty training her son. And I said, "Oh, you know what worked for me?" And told her. And she said, "I've already tried those things." She was frustrated and just looking for another mom and her sister to vent to so that I could tell her it was going to be okay. Right? When I gave her advice in that situation, she felt like I was judging her and that I felt like she was not a good mom and couldn't figure it out. And nothing could be further from the truth. I have two sisters. They are amazing, phenomenal moms. And even in situations where my sisters and I have had complexity in our own relationships, I will tell you these women are amazing moms. Okay. My sister is much younger than me. She's 14 years younger. My dad passed away when she was 11. And she told me that when she was growing up, because I was an adult after my dad passed, she saw me as a parental figure. She just wanted me to be present for her. So when I would give her advice, it felt like I was either parenting her or judging her. And I have to tell you, I've done a little research here because that's kind of a thing I do. And that's how most people feel. That's not just my sister because of the age difference. That's how most people feel. So when someone comes to you, make room for them to tell you how they are feeling. Even ask, okay? Sometimes, by the way, they won't know. And that's okay too. We don't need to insert our ideas, right? If they say, I really don't know how I feel about this, we can just say, that's okay. That's normal, right? That happens. It happens to me all the time. All right. At the present moment, I have a lot going on that I don't know how I feel about it. So, I mean, it happens. But also, we want to refrain from offering advice. So the question always is, then what do you say? So I have a daughter, my one daughter, Kylie, and she has the highest EQ of anyone I know. She naturally is really great with people. She was born that way. I promise you, she definitely did not learn it from me. And I noticed when she was in her teen years, I would hear her saying this to her friends, and she had even said it to me at one point because actually my fish died, which is a whole thing. But and I loved that fish, man. I loved that fish. But at any rate, she will say, "I'm sorry. Thank you for telling me, or thank you for trusting me with this. Thank you for being vulnerable with me. I'm here for you." That's what she says. And I'm telling you, it works. I'm sorry. Thank you for telling me I'm here for you. It works. It works every time. It makes you present in the moment. It tells the other person that you care. It opens the door and encourages them to come to you when they are struggling. It does all the things. Okay. So that is the answer. I'm sorry. Thank you for telling me, and I'm here for you. That's it. That's what we're going to do. I think I need to put that on all my social media channels because that is some gold right there. Number 5 is stop keeping score. No relationship is 50-50. It will never be 50-50. All right. It's about what you're equipped to give in the time and what you may need in the time. So there are times in our lives where we need more, and there are times in our lives where we are more equipped to give more. And there are also times in our relationships where neither person has a lot to give, and where we can work together to be like, how can we show up for each other? Or maybe we need to just take some time by ourselves so that we can get through this. How can we navigate this without it damaging the relationship? Relationships are not 50-50. Now, relationships are also not 90-10 for the entire duration of the relationship. If you are in a relationship where you are consistently feeling like the other person is asking you for help, the other person needs things from you, the other person, and you are consistently doing for them, but you either won't ask them for help or they won't show up for you, you have a serious imbalance, and this is not actually a healthy thing. Now, there's a possibility that you have set it up like that. I know a lot of people who are in relationships with people who consistently need them, with people who are consistently in crisis. I have done this where I have made friends with people who need constant help, need all kinds of support. Okay. And I won't let them support me. I only support them because it feels safer for me to not have to ask for help. I have also been in these relationships and tried to set them up differently and then asked for help and had the other person be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. Neither of those things is good. Neither of those things is healthy. And I highly recommend, if you are in relationships, especially if you have a lot of relationships like that, this is not you. I hate that saying, if all the people around you are blank, it's you, it's not them. This might be your picker, though. You may be picking this. I tended to pick relationships like this because of my own internal voice, my own parenting from, or my own childhood experience of feeling like I was never enough, feeling like I wasn't worthy, feeling like I wasn't lovable, and that my entire value was about what I could do for you. And so for me in a relationship, I felt like the only value I had in the relationship was taking care of somebody else. Okay. And that if I let them show up for me, I would break the relationship. That was a me thing that I needed to work through in therapy. Okay. Yes, I am an intentional living coach, and I will be the first person to tell you that there are things that need to be worked out in therapy, not in coaching. All right. This is likely one of them because if you've internalized this, you are setting up the same relationship over and over and over again. And it's never going to fix the original broken relationship. You're not gonna prove it. It's not gonna be safer. It's not gonna be better. You are gonna consistently set yourself up for your needs not to get met. Again, therapy. As far as your other relationships go, stop keeping score. All right. This is especially true when the other person in the relationship or you, when you're grieving, when you're going through a big crisis, it is going to be lopsided. For example, right now I'm in a space in my life where I'm handling end of life care with my grandmother, okay, and with family members. But my grandma and I were really close growing up, and I lived with her when I was a baby. And she has always been very parental and very close to me, and I've already lost my father. This is his mom. All right. There's a high likelihood that I am going to be struggling. Right now, I think I'm kind of in shock, but that I will be struggling, and that when she passes, that will probably be very difficult for me. I've experienced a lot of anticipatory grief to this point, and that may make me unable to show up in the relationships the way I usually do. I might actually need to lean into my friendships, and I may not have quite as much to give because I might not have the bandwidth to give it. That's the reality, right? In that situation, my friends and family members, all right, would be there to support me and would actually um, be potentially giving a little more in the relationship. And this has happened in reverse as well. where other people in my life have lost loved ones or have gone through difficult diagnoses or difficult things like that. And I have set my stuff over to be there for them because I know they don't have the bandwidth to help me with my thing right now, right? I know they don't have the bandwidth to help me with the argument I had with my teenage daughter if they just lost their mom, right? And so really having perspective on that and recognizing that is important. So we want to make sure that we are not looking at our relationships and keeping score. I did this for you, so you should do this for me. I did that, you should do this, because it doesn't really work that way. Number 6 is choose your battles. Um, I read this saying and I love it so much, and I'm going to share it. You do not have to attend every argument you are invited to. You do not have to attend. You can choose not to attend. In addition, you can choose the things that are worth fighting for. These are not things on principle. These are things that really matter to you. And when I say on principle, I mean abstract things. Well, on principle, I don't like it, right? Okay, well, fine. On principle, you don't like it, but this is a person you love and this is happening. And so, how are you planning to navigate that? Not some pie in the sky. I don't like it that, blank exists in the world. But we want to make sure that we choose our battles. We actually communicate the things we need to, even if they might be conflict, even if we're afraid of conflict. I know that's hard. I have a hard time with that too. And we want to actually choose what are those things. So we're not necessarily going to share every single annoyance that we have. If I burst anybody's bubble there, I'm really sorry. But we're also not going to allow resentment to build because we don't share anything at all. And when we do say to someone else, that hurt my feelings, or I didn't appreciate that, or I'm not okay with that, all right? If the other person responds in a way that is defensive or aggressive, we can say, I won't argue about this. I'm not going to argue about this. I'm letting you know because I trust you and I value our relationship. This is an FYI. This is the memo. This is not open to be argued about. Okay. We can decide that we are not arguing. We are not litigating. Okay. I'm not litigating. It hurt my feelings. I'm not litigating it. I don't need to justify that it wouldn't bother you, so I don't get to be bothered. I don't need to justify that. I did not like that. You might be fine with that. I'm not. We don't have to have the same preferences to be in relationship with each other. There may be things that you're not cool with that I am, right? And so being able to come to a space where we are intentional about what we are and are not willing to actually have conflict about, dispute about, argument about matters. And some of this is related to no, you cannot control everything. So we don't need to try to fix all the things, even if they are pet peeves. We don't need to do that because we cannot control everything. But we also need to make sure that we are communicating the things that we do need, right? You can only control yourself in the relationship. You can't stop the person from being irritated, but you can choose to not engage. All right. And by the way, side note, this doesn't mean giving the person the silent treatment. This just means I'm not going to fight with you, right? I'm not fighting. I'm not going to fight. Not doing that. Number 7 is stop trying to win. So right along the same line is stop trying to win. Stop trying to be right. Okay. In your relationships, if your relationships are not like partnerships, they already have problems. So let's just get that out of the way. But if you are in a healthy relationship, if you are trying to create a low stress relationship, the goal of a discussion or the goal of sharing something, the goal of saying, hey, that hurt my feelings, the goal of saying, hey, I'd like it to be this way and not that way. The goal of all of this is actually to strengthen the relationship, right? So we want to be genuine. We want to strengthen the relationship and we want to come to some sort of compromise. We're trying to make the team stronger. Okay. Resentment eats the roots. So we're trying to make it stronger. All right. And because we're trying to make it stronger, we're on the same side. Okay. Instead of thinking about the person that you're having the discussion with as your opponent, think of them as your partner. They are your teammate. Okay. Even if they've upset you, even if they've hurt you, they are your teammate. And by the way, I do not mean in DV situations. We are not talking about abusive situations here. Okay. When you are in this relationship, they are your partner. Okay. So we want to work together. If my husband and I don't agree about what should happen with this child, for example, in their parenting, all right, he and I are not opponents. We are not on opposite sides. Even if we have opposite viewpoints on the subject, we are not on opposite sides. We are on the same side, trying to do the best we can to make the best decisions we can for our children, right? We have a common goal and we're on the same side. Because we're on the same side, we don't need to win. I don't need to get my way. He doesn't need to get his way, right? I don't need to be right. He doesn't need to be right. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. We need to work together to come up with a solution that will work for us and our children. So we need to come up with what will work for our family because we're partners. We're on the same team. And so keeping that in mind, reminding yourself when there is conflict that you are on the same team, and reminding the other person can be really helpful. One of the things I found helps me with both choosing the battles and the not trying to win for the other person, because I can make those decisions inside me all day long. But that does not, when I started doing this, my husband was having none of it. Okay. He was having none of it. It was annoying to him that I wouldn't engage. It was like frustrating. And so I would say to him, I am showing up here and being vulnerable because I trust you. And I'm telling you this because I care so much about you and our relationship. And I know we can work this out. That would generally put him in a different frame of mind and make him also be like, wait, hang on a minute. What am I doing here? And then we could collaborate more. Number 8 is apologize. When you need to apologize, apologize. This is really important, by the way, because if you set a go to the source kind of code in your relationship, you also have to be willing to apologize. If somebody comes to you and says, I heard that you blank, okay, that you went to blank without me, and I had told you I really wanted to go to that, you have to own it, okay? You have to actually own it. When we do something or something happens where we have made a mistake, we have been wrong, we have hurt somebody else, whether it was deliberate or not, okay? Intention does not trump impact. We do not just say, well, that wasn't my intention, so I don't know what to tell you, right? We say, thank you for telling me that. I will try to make an adjustment and stop doing that in the future, right? You can say, I didn't know. I'm so glad you told me. All right, here's the thing. Again, thank you for trusting me and telling me this. We have to apologize. Making mistakes, failing at something, hurting somebody else's feelings, screwing up, even big time in a relationship is normal. Getting through those things, apologizing, making amends, earning back trust, building that back, that is what makes the relationship stronger. Not having zero conflict, but working through all those things. That's what makes the relationship stronger. Being able to be vulnerable enough to say, I am sorry, to apologize to the other person, okay, gives an extension of trust and value on the relationship itself. So apologize. Please start apologizing. Apologize also, side note, just a little bonus here, to your children. We are not perfect. It's really important that we are communicating to our children that we are not perfect and that we apologize when we miss it. Number 9 is, this one's for all you married folks out there. The number 1 law for in-laws is outlaw direct communication. Meaning, if you have a issue, not an issue that's going on right this minute, okay, but you have an issue, you're having a hard time navigating something, there's something you would like changed, you are having a hard time with the way that the Thanksgiving dinner is going, you're having a hard time with your mother-in-law buying too much stuff for your kids or giving your kids too much junk food, okay, that kind of thing. When she watches them, your partner should, whenever possible, navigate things with their family. Their family will take it better from them. Every family has its own culture. Let them navigate it with their own family. All right. Now, that doesn't mean, by all means, just so we're clear, if you are sitting around a campfire, by the way, this actually happened. This happened to me. If you're sitting around a campfire, okay, and someone in your husband's family offers your 15-year-old a beer, you can tell them no. You tell them, don't do that. If somebody offers your 3-month-old, okay, a piece of bread or a cracker to suck on because they think it all, old, I don't know, because they're teething, some old wives' tale thing, I don't know. You absolutely in the moment saying, no, that's not cool. Like, don't give that to them. Totally fine. I'm pretty sure that, I don't know, I might get flagged by some YouTube thing because I just said that, but I didn't even think of that. But anyways, that is fine. But what I mean is if you are at home and you're thinking, should I call my mother-in-law and tell her that I didn't appreciate that? Or should I call my mother-in-law and ask her if she can move Christmas dinner to later so that we can hit both families' houses? The answer is no. Your partner should. Okay. And by the way, this is whether you're married or in a long-term partnership or boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever the situation is. Your partner should, all right? Not you. And if your partner is not capable of navigating that, that's an issue with your partner. And that goes back to choose your battles, stop trying to win. You guys need to get on the same team, okay? Because family of origin culture does not trump your immediate family in your home. And so, which is a whole nother topic for a different day. But if you want a video on that, tell me in the comments and I will do maybe a couple videos on that because that's probably a bigger topic. But these 9 tips will make your relationships so much lower in stress. Okay. You are looking for low stress relationships. You are empowered to do these 9 things. You bring these 9 things to the table and your relationships will have a lot less stress, in part because you feel more in control of yourself. You feel like you know what you need to bring in the door and you know what your expectations are and you know where you'll play and where you won't. And that will take a lot of the stress off and make you better able to navigate the tough stuff. So let's just recap. Communicate, judgment-free zone, go to the source, be present, no advice, okay? Stop keeping score, choose your battles, stop trying to win, apologize, and let your partner handle their own family, okay? Let them handle their own family. Obviously, let them handle their own family, unless you have to physically protect them or stand up for them in some way because they're being attacked. Let them handle their own family. All right. I know y'all are like, what kind of family do you have that you're saying this? Do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm going to be talking about stress for a while as we come to the end of the year. I'm going to talk a lot about holiday stress, a lot of holiday tips, and then we're going to get into the new year talking about your goals, reclaiming your life, and how to really dig into that. You're going to love this stuff that's coming up. And actually next week, I'm going to be talking about the dangers of stress because yes, y'all, stress is very dangerous. You want to hang out with me more? Check out all of my social links below. And remember that I offer a membership program and you can get in there for literally less than a cup of coffee a day with weekly group coaching, book club, and so much more. I'll link that below too. I'll see everyone next week. Bye, everyone.